Hey, so we're outside of the Philadelphia Convention Center, and there's potentially some more fraud going on this evening at about 10, 11 p.m. What time is it right now? What time does this happen?
12:01.
It happened about 11:30?
11 p.m.
Okay.
So, I'm a volunteer with the Trump campaign. I was told to go to the Philadelphia Convention Center to wait in the lobby to see if I saw anything suspicious. The main thing that we were looking for were large groups of people coming in with suitcases, with bags, and we had been there for maybe no more than 10 or 15 minutes when we saw a steady stream of individuals coming in with backpacks, purses, getting in, going through the metal detectors. They had credentials to get in. There must have been at least 40 to 50 individuals with backpacks coming through in the past hour. We specifically brought this up to the Philadelphia Police Department. They said we're going to check with our superiors, let you know if we can check the bags. I asked multiple times. Finally, a deputy commissioner inside came up to me, was questioning me, was being very aggressive, erratic. I said, sir, you know, we just want to make sure the bags are being checked. They're specifically going up to the vote counting area. And when I brought this up, I said, you know, sir, you guys are checking them for weapons, but you're not specifically checking them for ballots. He got very nervous, erratic. He put his hands on his head. He said it's too late to be dealing with this. He immediately went to the Philadelphia Police Department, who then came up to us and said that we needed to leave the lobby, which we had every right to be there. We have a court order from the state that says that we can observe ballots, and we were in the lobby. We weren't even in the voting area. So we sat outside of the Philadelphia Convention Center for probably about 30 minutes. We must have seen dozens of individuals coming in with backpacks and purses late at night. They were granted easy entrance to the facility, and after about 45 minutes, officers came out and said we had to get behind the barricade.
Yeah. All Trump. You gotta do what you gotta do. Fuck Trump. I've got around 80. You work at the mail or polling place, you gotta do what you gotta do. Yeah, fuck Trump.
My name is Brian McCaffrey. I'm a registered Democrat in the city of Philadelphia. Today, I'm at the Philadelphia Convention Center, and I am overseeing the ballot counters. I will let you know the corruption that is going on here. They will not allow us within 30 to 100 feet to supervise the ballots being counted. This is a coup against the President of the United States of America, and I want to call out the Mayor of Philadelphia, James Kenney, the Attorney General, Josh Shapiro, who tweeted that there's no way Donald Trump can win President of the United States of America, and also the District Attorney of Philadelphia, Larry Krasner. I can't believe what I'm seeing right before my eyes. This has nothing to do with Joe Biden or Donald Trump. This has to do with our democracy, and I will tell you, there is corruption at the highest level in the city of Philadelphia.
Because the boss is here and don't want us to, and I can't take it. They won't let me. President Donald Trump. And not the only one we found in the trash. So,
able to get that 50% plus one threshold that Georgia requires in order to win the election outright. We also knew that Democrats had coalesced around Raphael Warnock, but we did not know what the second candidate would be because the Republican candidates were divided. In fact, there was a bitter fight going on between Kelly Loeffler and Doug Collins.
Tell us where you work.
I work in the Traverse City Post Office, more specifically the Barlow branch.
Your boss told you and your colleagues something that shocked you this morning. What was it?
We were issued a directive this morning to collect any ballots we find in mailboxes, collection boxes, just outgoing mail in general, separate them at the end of the day so that they could hand stamp them with the previous day's date. Today is November 4th, for clarification.
Who is your boss, and what is his title?
Jonathan would be a direct supervisor, yes. As of right now, he is the opening supervisor for the Barlow branch post office. So and this is anecdotal, carrier down in another office said they watched the postmaster doing it. If it were just a typical day, it would be clerks doing it up at the distribution center.
So 8 p.m. election day, November 3rd. The Court of Appeals ruled ballots have to be received by that time. And what were you told?
To separate them today so they could mark them with yesterday's date and send them through the express system to wherever they needed to go.
This appears to be an attempt to circumvent Michigan law and allow late votes. And you said there was a hamper where letter carriers were supposed to leave their ballots. Where are the ballots now?
They were putting them into express bags to go to the distribution center. In regards to a hamper, there was a standard hamper that all letter mail is supposed to go to, and they had a tub next to it that we were supposed to put any ballots collected today into.
Yes. What made you come forward?
That's sketchy. I don't like sketchy. It screams corruption. Also knowing the post office's leanings politically, it didn't seem quite right.
What is your message to other postal workers who see things like this?
Report it. How are we supposed to have any integrity in this country if we are just going to let things slide based on a scaling issue?
Are you afraid of retaliation against you?
I've had whistleblower policies backfire on me in the past, so yes.
We'll have to reach out to Jonathan Clark for comment. Hey, is this Jonathan?
Yes.
Hey, I'm a reporter with Project Veritas and James O'Keefe here, and I have information that you guys have been stamping ballots with the previous date, November 3rd. He just hung up the phone on me. He just hung up the phone on me.
Ballots in the emergency ballot box when they're back.
What's the guarantee?
When they're back up, we will scan the ballots. And I mean, and that's something that has to happen. We don't just, you know, set them to the side or, you know, but they all happen.
This machine is broken, Verchivax, and this machine is locked, just like that.
So they're invalidating votes is what they're doing.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes.
Like that's how I feel a picture of the ballot. And then there was a guy that directly came out and yelled at me 3 times. They both came out.
Oh no, they called the sheriffs and said that and told us to stop handing out the ballpoint pens. In which case, those are the only ones that are actually being counted and validated.
I used your pen and then I sent it back to you and I said, give this to somebody.
Yes. Yes, and so we know that, and we've been telling them you need to use a ballpoint pen, not the Sharpie, and now those are getting invalidated.
Yeah.
So people are coming here to vote for Donald Trump, and those votes are all getting invalidated. That's what's going on.
Yes.
There we go. That's all we need. Perfect.
Well, she doesn't think that's what you
Welcome to the new America, people. That's what's going on.
Well, that is what...
DNA Force Plus, if you did one thing for your immune system, it would be get all the essential things. And that's the clean iodine X2 or X3. That's the BioTrue selenium. That is the vitamin D3. That is the C. That is the zinc. There's 13 vitamins and minerals that are essential. Without them, you die. And studies show you really need the other ones too. But DNA Force goes beyond that. It helps get all that in the cells and out the cells with PQQ and CoQ10 of the highest quality sources with other ingredients that clean out the cells, that unclog them so all that stuff can get in. Viruses don't get in, the good stuff gets in. As the NIH website says, that if you have all the proper things, they can't replicate like they could. But I do this because it's essential, like oxygen, like water. DNA Force sold out for months, 50% off out of the gates, triple Patriot points, free shipping, InfoWarsStore.com. DNA Force election special. That's gonna have to end in a week because we got a limited supply and it was very hard to get the PQQ this time. A lot of our stuff can't get it anymore, a lot of our products, because the supply chain's broken down. That's part of the globalist plan. InfoWarsStore.com or 888-253-3139. I want to thank you all for tuning in.
You're not letting me in? Well, what? No. That's why I told you, call the police. Do it. If you legal, call the cops.
The city guy is using the bathroom. He'll be there. Call that number. Tell him to call somebody.
I have a citywide watcher certificate.
And it's not for this location.
No, it's not for it. It is not. Is this the city of Philadelphia? This is the city of Philadelphia. This is the city of Philadelphia. This is the city of Philadelphia. You wanted to talk. You wanted to talk outside. Let's talk. I have a watcher certificate. I asked you to read the line. The line said it's good in every ward and division in the city.
And so I have the Baxter, Mr. Baxter, whatever, had to go to the head guy because I want to see every one of those ballots, copy them down, copy down the precinct, because they don't show up on any list. So I just grabbed one box. It's 500 names of people that are not on a registered, they're not on the supplement list.
Were you in there?
She was in there this morning. She said it's no, I've been in there all day. I just left.
And so why won't they let anybody into view?
Their capacity. They said there's capacity. In the morning, you could just walk right in. So I trained and walked right in.
Because of COVID, they're saying capacity?
We all have masks on.
No,
we'll put our masks on.
I think it's the poll workers don't like us there. And they're very rude.
But you're allowed legally to go. It doesn't say there's capacity.
That's why we have the Supreme Court order.
And not to let us in the building?
Not to let you in the building. It's bizarre.
Because this building is not a capacity.
And you know, there's those of us that leave. Like a few people.
Good morning. I'm Chris Padome. I'm going to give my account what happened. I was here, actually been here for quite a bit, and was here with members of the Trump campaign and came in a media capacity to obtain content information on election night, and unfortunately was stereotyped in that regard, and you can take for that what you may, and was not able to obtain any type of access by any means, and got a little bit, I guess you can say assertive or aggressive is the word, so to speak, and the question was asked at 1:30 in the morning, why are you here? And our response was, well, it's election night. That's why we're here, and you guys are obviously counting ballots. And it was unique because they said they had an hour and a half left of counting to do, and an official came out who was kind and asked us to sign documents, and a few moments later we were asked to leave. Well, I find it ironic we were asked to leave within 10 to 12 minutes when they said they had an hour and a half of counting left to do. And clearly that was an attack, I think, on any type of conservative media or any individual or entity that wanted to have access and cover. And we find it very unique that other outlets are able to have full access, but we were not given any type of access whatsoever. And they question the validity of my background, or any type of media, any type of experience whatsoever. So that was my personal account, and that's it.
So what's your name? Up here.
We love Trump! 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 We love Trump!
He's like, come on. Okay.
Hi guys, thanks for coming.
Somebody help you with?
Freedom of video camera.
Okay. So you're gonna video me? Well, that work? That's fine.
You're not a Republican, and nor are you a conservative. Is that accurate?
That would be an understatement.
And indeed, you're the former editor-in-chief of Psychology Today.
Correct.
So you're a respected academic. You testified before this committee that Google's manipulation of votes gave at least 2.6 million additional votes to Hillary Clinton in the year 2016. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And I want to make sure I understand. You personally supported and voted for Hillary Clinton.
I was a very strong public supporter of Hillary Clinton, yes.
So you're not dismayed that people voted for her, but your testimony is that Google is, through bias in search results, manipulating voters in a way they're not aware of.
On a massive scale. And what I'm saying is that I believe in democracy, I believe in the free and fair election, more than I have any kind of allegiance to a candidate or a party.
And looking forward, if I understood your testimony correctly, you said in subsequent elections, Google and Facebook and Twitter and big text manipulation could manipulate as many as 15 million votes in a subsequent election?
In 2020, if all these companies are supporting the same candidate, there are 15 million votes on the line that can be shifted without people's knowledge and without leaving a paper trail for authorities to trace.
Now you described the Go Vote reminder, and you said it wasn't a public service announcement, but rather manipulation. Can you explain how? I'm not sure everyone followed the details of that.
Well, sure. If on Election Day in 2016, if Mark Zuckerberg, for example, had chosen to send out a Go Vote reminder, say just to Democrats, and no one would have known if he had done this, that would have given that day an additional at least 450,000 votes to Democrats. And we know this without doubt because of Facebook's own published data, because they did an experiment that they didn't tell anyone about during the 2010 election. They published it in 2012. It had 60 million Facebook users involved. They sent out a Go Vote reminder, and they got something like 360,000 more people to get off their sofas and go vote who otherwise would have stayed home. The point is, I don't think that Mr. Zuckerberg sent out that reminder in 2016. I think he was overconfident. I think Google was overconfident. All these companies were. I don't think he sent that out. Without monitoring systems in place, we'll never know what these companies are doing. But the point is, in 2018, I'm sure they were more aggressive. We have lots of data to support that. And in 2020, you can bet that all of these companies are going to go all out. And the methods that they're using are invisible. They're subliminal. They're more powerful than most any effects I've ever seen in the behavioral sciences. And I've been in the behavioral sciences for almost 40 years.
You know, our Democratic colleagues on this committee often talk about what they view as the pernicious effect of big money and big corporate dollars. What you are testifying to is that a handful of Silicon Valley billionaires and giant corporations are able to spend millions of dollars, if not billions of dollars collectively, massively influencing the results of elections. And there's no accountability. You said, we don't know. We have no way of knowing if Google or Facebook or Twitter sends it to Democrats or Republicans, or how they bias it, because it's a black box with no transparency or accountability whatsoever. Am I understanding you correctly?
Senator, with respect, I must correct you.
Please.
If Mark Zuckerberg chooses to send out a go vote reminder just to Democrats on Election Day, that doesn't cost him a dime.
Fair enough. Do you happen to know who the Hillary Clinton campaign's #1 financial supporter was in the year 2016?
I think I do, but please remind me.
The #1 financial supporter of the Hillary Clinton campaign in the 2016 election was the parent company of Google, Alphabet, who was our first witness. They were her #1 financial donor, and your testimony is, through their deceptive search methods, they moved 2.6 million votes in her direction. I would think anybody, whether or not you favor one candidate or another, should be deeply dismayed about a handful of Silicon Valley billionaires having that much power over our elections to silently and deceptively shift vote outcomes.
Again, with respect, I must correct you. The 2.6 million is a rock bottom minimum. The range is between 2.6 and 10.4 million, depending on how aggressively they used the techniques that I've been studying now for 6.5 years.
Wow. Could you just say that again, please?
The 2.6 million is a rock bottom minimum. The range is between 2.6 and 10.4 million votes, depending on how aggressive they were in using the techniques that I've been studying, such as the search engine manipulation effect, the search suggestion effect, the answer bot effect, and a number of others. They control these, and no one can counteract them. These are not competitive. These are tools that they have at their disposal exclusively.
Okay. I'm here because of the 38,000 ballots that are right here at 3:45 a.m. that are just now sitting over there and getting counted, supposedly. Okay. And that's why I arrived. Okay. To an eye-opening of hypocrisy, let me tell you. Okay. How can you have supposed to be one Republican, one Democratic at a table? Right. And when we go up to ask, we're told you're not supposed to ask. Okay. And it's 4 Democrats to 1 Republican at a table. How do you know these are the tags on the tags? They were verified.
So I'm going to cut away here. Something I want you to see. They're taping up the windows. Security's taping up the windows so that people who are challenging cannot see in here, and we can't see out. So it's an interesting development. So that's an interesting development. That's one thing the Secretary of State, Jocelyn Munson, said, is that every vote in this state will be counted.
Exactly. And now there's been some controversy because we've heard about some mysterious box that showed up at 3 in the morning with 38-some thousand votes in it. You just heard her talk about it. I talked to other Republicans about it. We don't know where those votes came from. We don't even know if they're votes. We just know their boxes showed up, and they're here to make sure that someone didn't nefariously slip in 38,000 extra ballots in here. So if you can turn around and see what's going on back here. What we're told is they're counting military votes right now, And so security has been careful because I think they were worried that someone was getting a little too close to the ballots. Again, I keep saying this over and over again, but tensions are so high, and it's all coming from the Republicans who feel that they are being shut out, that they're being outnumbered, that they're being silenced. And they think that the system is set up so that all these votes, so that the process of counting the votes is only overseen by Democrats. And I've talked to people from both sides, and
and you also have to know that one way or another.
Why are we covering the windows, guys? I mean, that's no fishing. If you got nothing to hide, why are you shutting the windows like that? This is ridiculous. This is out of the playbook of South America.
Excuse me, sir. You cannot cover these windows. We will file a federal lawsuit.
This is wrong on what we're seeing right now. We're witnessing evil.
Family stealing the election. The media's covering up. The Biden crime family stealing this election. The media's covering it up. The Biden crime family stealing this election. The media's covering up. We want our freedom for the world. Give us our freedom, Joe Biden. Joe Biden's covering up this election. He's stealing it.
This is a fraud on the American public. This is an embarrassment to our country. We were getting ready to win this election. Frankly, we did win this election. We did win this election. So our goal now is to ensure the integrity for the good of this nation. This is a very big moment. This is a major fraud in our nation. We want the law to be used in a proper manner. So we'll be going to the U.S. Supreme Court. We want all voting to stop. We don't want them to find any ballots at 4 o'clock in the morning and add them to the list, okay? It's a very sad moment. To me, this is a very sad moment, and we will win this, and as far as I'm concerned, we already have won it.
All right, President Trump, as we anticipated, falsely and prematurely declaring victory, saying that he won. He did not win. He has not won. The president falsely depicting the counting of votes as a fraud and an embarrassment. That is not what is going on. What is going on is the normal democratic process. Almost everything President Trump said in his declaration of victory was not true. It is true that he is ahead in the polls right now in Georgia and North Carolina. Whether or not Biden will ever catch up is a matter for Georgia and North Carolina and their election officials to decide. It is not true that he is winning Pennsylvania or winning Michigan or winning Wisconsin. They are still counting votes. They have literally millions of vote-by-mail ballots that those 3 states are counting. It may well be that President Trump ends up winning this election. That might be once the ballots are counted. But what President Trump just said was undemocratic and false and premature. It is not accurate to say that he won. We do not know who won this election. And I have to say, Dana, it's not a surprise, but still, years into this presidency, I find it shockingly disappointing that he still would continue to erode faith that the American people have in institutions. What is going on right now is a clean and fair election, and there is no evidence to the contrary.
I know we expected him to say something like that, but hearing the President of the United States in the middle of an election, where they're counting votes all over the country, to say what he said from the White House is just not something that I don't think any of us really expected to see and hear in our lifetime. That is not what democratically elected presidents or candidates for the presidency say. That's what authoritarians say. And when he said that that people are going to be disenfranchised, the only person right now at this stage of the game who is trying to disenfranchise voters is Donald Trump, because he is saying the voters whose votes have not yet been counted in the states that he doesn't want them to be counted in don't count.
The postal inspector contacted you today in Pennsylvania?
Yes.
What did they say to you?
They asked me the same questions you asked me yesterday about what I'd seen and what I'd heard. And we're asking if I had any more information or whatnot.
You witnessed your supervisor backdating a ballot to November 3rd?
I did not witness them backdating it. I witnessed them talking about backdating.
What did you hear them say?
They were talking about how the day before, which was the 4th, they had postdated all but one of the ballots that were picked up as the 3rd, but they had one that they made a mistake and postmarked it the 4th.
You heard Robert Weisenbacher say this to Daryl, or Daryl say it? How did you hear it?
Robert was saying it to Daryl.
Robert was saying it to Daryl.
Yes.
They made a mistake on the ballot, and they should have backdated the November 4th ballot to November 3rd, correct?
Yes.
And you heard this, and since you did the interview with me in the shadows, what has happened to you at your employment? They were taking an action against you today?
Well, I'm not for sure, but they are bringing up stuff that happened like in the past.
So they brought up old allegations against you today that were already adjudicated, and they brought those up today?
Yes.
These inspectors have. What was the nature of your conversation with the post office officials that reached out to you today about our interview?
They said that I was. Well, because of certain factors, I was kind of implicated as the one who had came out. So they wanted to get my side of the story because they wanted to start an investigation into this. I think this comes from above them, and that's what I told the postal inspectors. I just think they were just doing what they're told. And, yeah.
We need some fucking Republicans to get to these sites. ASAP. Look at this lady right here. Some ballots are going right here. Some ballots are going over here. Behind her. Somewhere like maybe in a trash can or in another box to go somewhere. But these right here, look. What's she doing? Just watch her ass. And now she's got a fucking Sharpie ink pen in her hand. Or something in her hand. Trying to make them invalid. Yeah, I'm looking at you, you fucking bitch. Oh, all of a sudden she's got another one. Watch. Just watch this lady. So she got out a yellow envelope, another yellow envelope. And one just got tossed to the side again. I'm looking right here, guys. Watch this lady right here. Well, you got Black Lives Matter there doing the votes. Who's this other lady beside her? She threw one without even looking at it. She threw one right there. I caught that bitch. She threw one without even opening up and looking at it.
okay, in front of the polling center where they're counting the votes, where people are just dumping piles and piles of tablets on the top of the table, and a handful of people are looking through them. There's supposed to be 5 people there. There's not 5 people. Sometimes there's only 3 people. So when people are taking pictures of this, they're taking big cardboard pieces of paper and holding them up so you can't see what's going on inside. It's complete chaos, but most importantly, they don't tell us how many GOP people are in there. They're only going by the register that people sign in this morning. Nobody was told to sign out when you leave. So it's complete
So they won't
nonsense.
let any
It's
GOP
complete nonsense.
people in because the GOP people were not told to sign out.
Exactly.
That's the scam.
This is not a fair election. This is a joke. This is bullying. This is intimidation. This is steal the election however you can. I'm tired. I hope you are
We have a Supreme Court order in our favor to allow us to observe. Do they not know this?
Sir, it's allowed to observe. Are you an attorney?
Hello, my name is Brian Reese. I found some voting ballots down 99th and Glendale Avenue in Glendale, Arizona. I was working there mornings. When I got to my work area, I didn't realize they were there. I mean, until further on the afternoon of that day that I got closer and closer to where they were at. They were covered, they were just laying on the floor covered with concrete rocks and a piece of concrete. So, I mean, the only thing I did was I kicked the rocks, I checked what it was. It said election something. I honestly didn't pay attention, so I took a picture. I sent it to my boss. My boss said, well, we'll bring him to the office. I mean, there's nothing much we could do, so we took him to the office. Later on that afternoon, we contacted Glendale Police Department. I really have no information of who could have put him there or how they got there. All I know is that they were there, and I took action and returned them to Glendale Police. Now I know they returned them to their owners or to who they belong so they can make the vote. I don't know why people would do something like that, but especially in this situation, especially on 2020 where it's been kind of stressful with all this coronavirus, all this election stuff, that, I mean, people have different beliefs. There's nothing much I could say. I mean, something does the right decision, some don't. But if you can vote, or if I got those ballots to the people that can vote and make a decision over that, then I'm pretty sure and those votes would matter in one way or another. But what my father has always taught me as a strict Latino parent is, if you make right decisions, you won't have nothing to be hide, or you won't have to be how can I say it, there's nothing that you can hide out of your personality or yourself, you know. Just make the right decisions. There's nothing much else I can say.
All right, cool. Well, thank you for your guys' time. I appreciate it. I'll take these off your hands. No problem. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep.
Hi.
Hi.
I'm with the Arizona Attorney General's office. We have ballots here for... did you guys...
We never got our ballots. We
Okay.
have to go to the polls because we never got them.
Oh, okay. Well, did you, about 2 or 3 weeks ago, did you think you had some mail stolen possibly? Did you
I have been
notice?
asking my dad if we had gotten our ballots because I've been wearing it, and everyone I known had already gotten their ballots. So
Okay.
I was suspicious, but my dad didn't see it.
Okay. Well, these were found on the side of the road. We think there was a whole string of mailbox thefts in this neighborhood. And so what we're doing now is trying to return them so people have the opportunity to use them to vote if they need to.
But I will tell you, I was expecting a ballot in the mail. Yep.
Yeah.
And I never got it.
Okay.
I
And
got
this
the
is why.
sample ballot.
What?
Wow.
So anyway, we just wanted to go around and try and give them to people if they haven't voted already. They have an opportunity.
I haven't.
There you go.
So
You'll have to go to the polls now and drop it off, but
Okay.
at least
What
you
is
can
your
do it.
name, ma'am?
So there you go.
That's it.
Wow, that's crazy. Really?
Yeah.
Wow. So
Yeah.
they were stolen. This
And-
is the first time. This is the first year I've ever registered. But I was wondering where my ballot was because I never got it.
Now you can at least go to the polls and turn that in. So.
Thank you. I appreciate
Okay.
it.
So if you've already voted, then you can
Yeah.
just destroy them or whatever. But
Yeah.
at least you know
That's what happened. That's why you didn't get your ballot. So we're out trying to return them all if we can. Okay?
Well, I appreciate it.
All right, buddy.
Thank you very much.
I actually reached out to the county recorder.
Yeah.
Had them send them back to me.
I just wondered, I've gotten everything else I needed, but I did not get my ballot.
Okay.
So when you go in, and you know, I'm not trying to be ignorant, but no, we don't know you. So you go in and you give them direction, and they feel they're supposed to follow it.
Ma'am.
That's not happening. Not going to happen.
I'm not giving them direction. It's the election.
She's with the PA Dems, and
she's outside. She's not staying on the inside.
Conform to your ideology about this situation. But I just believe the conversation is over with.
It's a senior citizen building, and we are really, really concerned. For real, for real. So for just understanding that, take the voting stuff out of it. She can go in, get her information, she gotta come out. I'm out, she's out, we're all out. What makes you think she can stay in?
the rules.
Okay, no, well, that rule ain't gonna be followed.
Okay, well, and that's, if that's your view, that's fine. But as long as you're recognizing that it is a rule.
The pro-human resistance lives at Infowars.com. But only you can give this operation wings. Only you can stand in defiance to the destruction of humanity.
Are you guys collecting ballots? Yeah. I thought they collected them all. I just want to document.
No, we're still collecting.
How much? Wait, but how come they already called the state?
Because these are mail-in ballots.
Are there a ton in there?
Yeah.
All right, are you collecting from a lot of places? Yeah. All right, I'll just document. Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Are you guys official election guys? All right, and let me just ask you one thing. Where do you guys take them?
Election center. That's it.
Is that in the government building?
LA County.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Are there a lot more in there?
6 feet, please.
Okay. Thank you guys. I just want to see because they called our state so
6 feet,
quickly.
please.
I know. I am.
You don't have a mask either.
Oh yeah. Sorry.
Are they allowed to do that?
Election officials are intentionally refusing to allow representatives and poll walk.
I'm going to send it to Bill.
This lady is marking the ballots. I filmed her a half hour ago doing 6, and she's still working at it. Let's stamp it, received, and let's fill in our 6 blanks. All at the top of the tickets on each one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59, 60, 61, 62, 63, 64, 65, 66, 67, 68, 69, 70, 71, 72, 73, 74, 75, 76, 77, 78, 79, 80, 81, 82, 83, 84, 85, 86, 87, 88, 89, 90, 91, 92, 93, 94, 95, 96, 97, 98, 99, 100, 101, 102, 103, 104, 105, 106, 107, 108, 109, 110, 111, 112, 113, 114, 115, 116, 117, 118, 119, 120, 121, 122 4, 5, 6. And there's a security guard right there who's watching her. The cops are in on it. Disgusting.
How did things go tonight, Claire?
Really well. We finished right when I predicted that we'd finish, and did it with accuracy and transparency. These don't list the results, it's just how many ballots we processed for each board. Right here, thank you guys.
During lunch.
I got you.
So
Okay.
we'll
I
see.
have. And what have you seen?
I've seen ballots that don't belong to anybody. They don't show up in the voter registration. There's no name attached to them.
And what are they doing with those ballots?
I'm challenging them, and
Okay.
they're supposed to put them in a box to be then re-evaluated. But then multiple ballots that have several different numbers. One person with different numbers. We have whole lists of them. We're writing everything down all day long.
So are they improperly filled out and you're looking to disqualify them?
Yes. If they're improperly filled out, if they have no name, if they don't have a home, or if the person was born in 1921 but registered to vote in 1900, that kind of doesn't make sense.
So, but that's not on the ballot. When you vote, your ballot is just the balls and what you have on there. What are you seeing? Are you seeing people's registration forms?
Yes, we are.
So on the tables, you have the ballot, and then you are able to see next to them
on a computer screen.
On a computer screen, whose ballot that is.
Sometimes the ballot itself has no name, but the ballot is filled out.
Okay.
And then if we go into the registration file, we find the person that has been was born in 1921, and it's just there's a lot that's not right.
What's wrong with being born in 1921?
But registering to vote in 1900, 21 years before you're born.
Arizona, are you 100% sure of that call and when you made it, and why did you make it?
Absolutely. We made it after basically a half hour of debating, is it time yet? Because it's been clear for a while that the former vice president is in the lead in Arizona and was most likely to win the state. It has been in the category that we call knowable but not callable for about an hour. We finally called it. Right now, yes, there are some outstanding votes in Arizona. Most of them are coming from Maricopa, where Biden is currently in a very strong position. And many of them are mail-in votes, where we know from our Fox News voter analysis, Biden has an advantage. We don't know exactly how many mail-in votes there are. But what I think we've heard from the White House is that they are expecting to get that they need just to get 61% of the outstanding vote, and there are 870,000 outstanding votes, and they'll be getting that. That's not true. The reality is that they're likely to get only about 44% of the outstanding votes that are there. We're right now sitting on a race that is Biden at 53%, Trump at 46%. I'm sorry, the president is not going to be able to take over and win enough votes to eliminate that 7-point lead that the former vice president has.
If all this wasn't enough, in Antrim County, ballots were counted for Democrats that were meant for Republicans. causing a 6,000 vote swing against our candidates. The county clerk came forward and said tabulating software glitched and caused a miscalculation of the votes. Since then, we have now discovered that 47 counties use this same software in the same capacity. Antrim County had to hand count all of the ballots, and these counties that use this software need to closely examine their results for similar discrepancies. The people of Michigan deserve a transparent and open process.
That's all. It's not a problem.
Appreciate it.
That's all. Not a problem.
I mean, leave it here till I find out what they want to do with it.
Put it out there. I don't care. Whatever makes them happy. I'm not here to cause any problems. We're here for everyone to vote, Republican and Democrat. You should change your attitude, too, on how you approach people. Hey, Sean, how are you?
Seems to be pretty effective.
I got a guy here filming, and he wants the big sign thing down off the wall in front of the building, so we took it down. Just to give you a heads up. It shouldn't be on the building. Yeah, we can move it. Not a problem. Right. Not a problem. Thanks. Not a problem.
Joey, Lancelot is
I believe it's 42, I think.
At 10:30 and it's already 11:30. So I don't understand what needs to be evaluated.
As soon as we can. Yeah, so someone will respond to you in writing or come down and talk to you?
No, I'm right here. You don't need to respond in writing.
Okay. Well, we will tell you.
I'll come with you.
When we evaluate.
Why don't we all talk about it? What do you need to evaluate?
You've talked. You're talking. There's nothing more to say at the moment.
Now, my name is Pam Bondi. I'm one of the president's lawyers.
Yes,
and
yes, I know who you are.
Thank you for helping us or evaluating this. I mean, the order's pretty clear. I've been a lawyer for 30 years. Can you tell us what's unclear about it? You're a private lawyer and acting in a government capacity.
Who represents the city.
Great.
The city is evaluating it, and I can't tell you anything more than
They're evaluating a judge's order?
What the order means, and when they're ready to talk to you about it, they will. But I can assure you that they're not violating it under any...
The order is currently in effect.
They're not violating
You
the
guys
order
had
under any
8
interpretation.
attorneys. I think it was 8 attorneys entering your appearance on this. I don't understand why 8 attorneys need to evaluate this order. I did it all by myself.
Okay.
It says that no later than 10:30 today, you're to follow the election code, and my people, my clients, representatives, are to be within 6 feet of the process.
We have read the order, and we are complying with the order, and we will discuss it with you in a bit. Okay?
The compliance is 6 feet.
What would non-compliance look like compared to this? Just so we can keep track.
Irregularities reported. There are enough unusual data statistics in these key battle-down states that we think it's worth going in and doing a full forensic exam like a reporter would and trying to examine election results. So Real America's Voice, the Star newspapers, which are in several states, Michigan being a key one, Ohio, and Just the News are going to work together, and we're going to do a full exam of 4 states right now. We're looking at Arizona, Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin. And we're going to do 2 things. We're going to do a look at precinct by precinct reporting. Look for precincts where the vote totals exceed the total amount of vote in the or a registered vote in a particular precinct. Those will give us some red flags, and we'll dig into those precincts, see if there was any funny business.
Hold on, slow down. No, hang on, John. Hang on, John, hang on for a second. People's heads are blown up already. What do you mean looking precincts where the vote counts higher? Are you telling me they actually exist where vote counts higher than the registered voters in the precinct? How does that work?
We are seeing that right now. Part of the reason for that is that in Wisconsin and now in Michigan, you have same-day registration. So there is a registration level that you entered Election Day with, and then it is potential for people to come in on Election Day and register and vote at the same time. those are places where abuses could occur. It could just be democracy in action, but we want to check and see whether or not there's any unusual behavior. When you see a voter precinct with 80, 90, 100% of turnout, that's almost unheard of in American elections. It's a red flag. Doesn't mean it could just be an exuberant populace wanting to vote. But we're seeing these in some of these urban areas. We're doing a real forensic exam. We're far from being able to make any conclusions. But it is possible that we will end up with several districts, several precincts, where the voter turnout exceeded the total number of registered voters, at least the number that was expected on Election Day. That's called plus 100 turnout.
In my experience in New York, paper ballots are extremely susceptible to fraud. I want a paper trail. I want paper somewhere, but pure paper with no machines. I can show you. I can show you experience which would make your head spin.
Hi, my name is Jill Stokey. I went to vote and was told I already voted. I pursued the matter, and in years past, I always voted in person. This time they mailed out the ballot and somebody took my ballot. They also took the ballot of my roommate. I was told by the interviewer from Channel 8, when I said, did other people do this? He said, yes. He said, you're the first double. Thank you.
Federal prosecutors say a West Seneca postal worker could have interfered with the election by stealing absentee ballots and other mail. He's now charged with delay or destruction of mail. 7 Eyewitness News reporter Hannah Bueller shows us what led to the arrest and what authorities say they found in the man's car.
It was 7:30 p.m. on election night when Customs and Border Protection officers say they stopped a U.S. postal worker near the Peace Bridge after getting off the 190 at the wrong exit. Customs and Border Protection officers did a sweep of his personal car. It was there investigators say they opened the trunk of Brandon Wilson's vehicle and found a postal carrier box with 3 absentee ballots sent to 2 Buffalo addresses from the Erie County Board of Elections, 106 political mailings, 220 first-class mailings, and 484 standard mailings. That's a total of 813 mail pieces that prosecutors say did not belong to Wilson. The first-class letter mailings were supposed to go to zip codes in the Buffalo-Cheektowaga border, with the majority going to 14215. In the criminal complaint, prosecutors say Wilson, who is from West Seneca, initially told officers the mailings were for him and his mother, but then said in September he estimated he placed mail from his delivery routes into his personal vehicle trunk on more than 4 occasions. Wilson said he intended to decrease the amount of mail in the trunk of his vehicle by placing a small amount into USPS missort containers in the morning before his shift began. But federal prosecutors say he hadn't placed any mail in the missort containers for 3 weeks. U.S. Attorney J.P. Kennedy says this office is committed not only to ensuring the integrity of the mails, but also individuals' right to vote in a free and fair election. The criminal conduct with which this defendant is alleged to have engaged undermine both of those interests. And the U.S. Postal Service tells me Wilson has been placed on emergency placement, which means he is out of work and has no access to the mail. This is pending the outcome of this criminal investigation. If convicted on the charges, he could spend 5 years in prison. Reporting in West Seneca, Hannah Bueller, 7 Eyewitness News.
Yeah, where can I find a handful of them?
I don't know, man. Hey, I'm almost finished with the boxes today.
All right, brother.
Hey, not a problem, man. I'm gonna see if I can get you some like a little nice little handful. What's your unit number?
You're gonna get a handful?
What's your unit number?
322. You're gonna get a handful?
I'll probably put I don't know, maybe. If it's in there, I ain't do it.
And you'll put some in there for me?
I might, man.
All right, brother.
See what I can do.
A postal worker in Nevada offered our undercover journalist a handful of ballots that was sent to the wrong address. This is another example of USPS voter fraud.
Project Veritas have posted a story in the last couple of hours that alleges some cases of voter fraud in Michigan. Have a look and make up your own mind.
So 8 p.m. Election Day, November 3rd, the Court of Appeals ruled ballots have to be received by that time. And what were you told?
To separate them today so they can mark them with yesterday's date.
Some of us got some extra ballots and stuff. How many of those you getting lately? People with extra ballots are undeliverable or
It's been quite a few.
Quite a few?
You know, people are sending based off their old address. So, yeah, it's been quite a few.
Well, if it wasn't me, though, hypothetically, though, it could be done.
I can't say nothing because I don't know. I'm just a delivery.
All right. But there's a lot of them out there like that, though, right?
Yeah, there are.
Where's the most of them at then? If we were hypothetically...
A handful?
Yeah, where can I find a handful of them?
I don't know, man. Hey, I'm almost finished with the boxes today.
All right, brother.
Hey, not a problem, man. I'm going to see if I can get you some, like a little nice little handful.
Oh,
what's your unit number?
You're going to get a handful?
What's your unit number?
322. You're going to get a handful?
I'll probably put I don't know, maybe. If it's in there, I ain't do it.
And you'll put some in there for me?
I might, man.
All right, brother.
See what I can do.
Let's talk the actual math of the Arizona vote, where it stands right now and what the trends are. There's 605,000 outstanding votes, an enormous amount of votes still to be cast. Right now, we have a deficit of 93,000 votes. Biden is clearly leading, but here's the thing. These votes that are outstanding are mostly election day votes. POTUS needs to win 58% of these remaining votes to make up for this deficit. Here's the election day trend in Maricopa County, which is by far the biggest county where Phoenix is, 62%. So it's very likely that we're going to eclipse the level we need and actually substantially win Arizona. But in addition to that, these votes are not all from Maricopa. They're also from the rural counties of Arizona, where we're doing much better than 62%, even into the 70s. So the math suggests strongly that we are going to win Arizona, and we will know as soon as Friday. Because of that, it's reprehensible for any news organization, Fox or AP, to call this state at this premature juncture. The president is going to win Arizona.
California, but right here, day after the election, they are still picking up ballots. So how could they have counted them? Today is November the 4th, and we've already called California, but here they are still picking up ballots. So how could that ever be called at this point in time? Right here, day after the...
So I'm in downtown Detroit at the TCF Center, which is in the heart of Detroit, in the heart of the D. And I had a couple of people reach out to me and say, could you do another Facebook Live and explain where you're at and why you're here? You can see behind me, that giant room behind me is where they are contesting ballots. So something that's very interesting that happened here in Detroit is, I just talked to a guy that's been here all night. They were ready to shut down the precinct. They had counted all the ballots. Everything was good. Everything went smoothly. And then it was at about 4 a.m. that 3 vehicles arrived, a van, a Chrysler 300, and a Ferrari with 130,000 plus ballots. He said he was astonished as they started counting the ballots. He was astonished that every single ballot, like literally 100% of that 130,000 ballots were all Biden ballots that hadn't been delivered to the precinct before the cutoff time for this precinct. So obviously there's, that's just a big irregularity, something that points to large-scale voter fraud. And literally it's being contested by the President of the United States in a lawsuit right now for the state of Michigan. We literally have people that watched it happen. I talked to people that are here. They're like, what? 130,000 ballots that haven't been verified, that are just being taken in. We have...
I don't think I wasn't supposed to hear that. I was one of the last carriers in the building. I don't even think he realized I was still there.
Okay, tell me where you work.
I work at the post office in Erie, PA.
Tell us what happened this morning, November the 5th.
This morning I was casing my route, and I saw the postmaster pull one of our supervisors to the side. And as he was pulling the supervisor, it was really close to where my case was, so I was able to listen in. And I heard him say to the supervisor that they messed up yesterday. I was like, oh, what did they mess up on? And he told the supervisor that they had postmarked one of the ballots for the 4th instead of the 3rd, because they were supposed to put them for the 3rd.
Why was he upset?
Because he's honest to God, he's actually a Trump hater. But because it may have came from Pittsburgh. I don't know the whole details because I'm not a supervisor. All these ballots that are coming in today, tomorrow, yesterday, are all supposed to be postmarked the 3rd.
Do you believe that order still stands?
Yes, no doubt, considering that they still want us to pick up ballots tomorrow. They had a specific meeting, safety meeting, where one of the higher-ups, Rob and Stephanie, basically told us to make sure we pick up the ballots and give them directly to the supervisor.
Rob, the postmaster.
Yes.
And you're telling me that they're still asking people to pick up ballots tomorrow, November 6th?
Yes.
There's a whistleblower inside your office that says that you have been ordering employees to backdate ballots to November 3rd from November 4th and 5th.
That's untrue, and I don't talk to reporters, thank you.
Okay, but we've had multiple sources say that this is happening. He hung up the phone on me.
Senator Ted Cruz, a Texas senator. You're one of the smartest lawyers and best students of Alan Dershowitz. You know election law. You're allowed to have partisan observers. They're not being denied they're being denied access. What does that tell you, and what is the remedy, sir?
Well, Sean, what we're saying tonight, what we've been saying the last 3 days is outrageous. It is partisan, it is political, and it is lawless. And we're seeing this pattern in Democratic city after Democratic city, but the worst in the country right now is Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, where they're not allowing the election observers in, despite clear state law that requires election observers being there, despite an order from a state judge saying election observers have to be within 6 feet of the ballot counting. They're just ignoring the law. They're defying the law. And there's a reason they're doing that. There's a reason they're defying the law. The reason you don't want observers there is because you're doing something you don't want to be observed. And I am angry, and I think the American people are angry, because by throwing the observers out, by clouding the vote counting in a shroud of darkness, they are setting the stage to potentially steal an election, not just from the president, but from the over 60 million people across this country who voted for him all across this country. It is lawless, and they need to follow the law.
This will be a contested election. It's going to be a disaster. The mail-in ballots, the fraud. And if Trump points any of that out, or you do, you're a dictator. Even though the Democrats win, and if they lose, I think right now there's anywhere near a fair election they're going to lose. The silent majority is really pissed. But they don't care. They will contest it. And when Trump says they're wrong, they're going to activate folks to burn the country down. And with 99 days out, this is all a beta test drill for that. And the censorship's in place, and the AI kill switch is in place, and Trump has not gotten control of the Obama kill switch that the deep state still has, or the globalists that are installed at all those levels. they've said they're going to contest the election. The Democrats are. Then if Trump contests it, which we saw in 2000 with Republicans, co-contest it, clearly, again, they're going to contest if they don't win. They're already engaged in fraud. And then if Trump challenges it, they're going to say he's a dictator and burn everything down.
I believe that if we had an honest election, that means an election in which only people who were legally eligible to vote voted, I don't believe there's much question the president would win. My problem is that I don't think that there will be an honest election at this point. They intend to steal the election, and they want to limit the president's ability to legally object to that theft. So it is preemptory. You can see exactly what they're doing. I don't think we're going to get an honest election, and the president has to reserve his ability to object legally. I believe that the next election, sadly, is going to get decided in the courts.
Well, you know how the scam works. They mail these out at the homes of dead people. They mail these out at the homes of people that know they're getting the ballots of dead people. And they mail these out to people whose cat died 10 years ago, and then somebody else fills it out. And then when they get a lot of these ballots back, they can just falsify them however they want. This is the takeover, and they've already said that if Trump challenges this, he's a dictator. So they're already saying, we're going to steal it, and if you challenge it, you're a dictator, and we're going to arrest whoever aids you. That was the Washington Post headline. If any of his cabinet doesn't agree, we'll put you in jail too. So see, it's now a reign of terror. And they tell you chaos is coming, but if Trump doesn't agree to what we say comes out of the chaos, it's his fault. That's why they invoked this for the election, and Trump had better take action with 88 days out. They officially say they're going to contest if they don't win, and that they're going to ignore the Senate, they're going to ignore the Supreme Court.
We have put together, I think, the most extensive and inclusive voter fraud organization in the history of American politics.
What I think we've heard from the White House is that they are expecting to get, that they need just to get 61% of the outstanding vote, and there are 870,000 outstanding votes, and they'll be getting that. That's not true. The reality is that they're likely to get only about 44% of the outstanding votes that are there. We're right now sitting on a race that is Biden at 53%, Trump at 46%. I'm sorry, the president is not going to be able to take over and win enough votes to eliminate that 7-point lead that the former vice president has.
Yeah. We're here this morning because we just got a great ruling from the appellate court. The appellate court just issued an order allowing immediate access for our team to observe the voting process. Immediate access. So our team of 15 people will be headed in right now to observe the vote counting process. This is very important because, as you know, they have kept us away 30 to 50 to 100 feet with a barricade. They had a guy in there wearing a badge who is not a sworn law enforcement officer, keeping people away. This is not a matter for the Secretary of State or Supervisor of Elections. The U.S. Constitution and under the U.S. Constitution, the legislature has the right to make these laws, which they have made, and a judge just confirmed that they must be followed. So we plan on entering that building right now and legally observing the voting process. Because if there's one illegal vote that is cast, it takes away from the great men and women of Pennsylvania who came out and issued a legal vote. So thank you very much. Corey Lewandowski.
Listen, guys, democracy dies in darkness. This is the opportunity to shed light on what's going on inside this building. Our observers are going to be 6 feet behind every person who's counting these votes in accordance with the COVID protocols. This is a win for every person who's cast a legal ballot in the state of Pennsylvania. We're going to go in here right now. We're going to start watching what's going on, not from 30 feet away, not from 100 feet away, from 6 feet away. This is a win, and what you will see is the Democrats are going to try and stop this from happening. They're going to appeal this decision because they don't want the American people to know what's going on in here. It's time to go in and put some light on what's happening. Thanks for being here, guys.
Whether you're a Democrat or a Republican, all these folks across the street, you should be allowed to observe and know what's happening with our voting process. That's why this is so important for all parties involved. Thank you. We're going to get our people in the room.
Biden currently has a lead, or win Maine 2, which is also outstanding, but where currently Trump has a lead.
Can we finish where we started on Arizona?
Yeah.
You're 100% sure?
Yes.
And so all this pushback, you're going to say, we made the right call when we made it.
We made the correct call, and that's why we made the correct call when we made it. I'm sorry.
No, you don't have to be sorry. We just want to be...
Well, yeah, make sure you're sure.
The president is not happy.
Well, thank you very much, Arna. We appreciate your time.
Thank you
Get
for
back
having
in
me.
there so we can make some more calls.
Yes, Chief.
Thanks, Arna.
Bye.
So we're looking at the scene where Joe Biden is about to come out, and to me, it's reminiscent of what we saw in the...
If all this wasn't enough, in Antrim County, ballots were counted for Democrats that were meant for Republicans, causing a 6,000 vote swing against our candidates. The county clerk came forward and said tabulating software glitched and caused a miscalculation of the votes. Since then, we have now discovered that 47 counties use this same software in the same capacity. Antrim County had to hand count all of the ballots, and these counties that use this software need to closely examine their results for similar discrepancies. The people of Michigan deserve a transparent and open process.
Here at around, 5 in the morning, something, in Michigan, a major swing state right now, which when we all went to bed, Trump was leading, and then we wake up and there's a spike right here. And I'm talking about a vertical spike. It wasn't like, hey, we got mail-ins coming, gradually climbing like you have Trump here. No, straight dump. Like I'm talking about voter fraud to the max. When you have a graph that jumps like that, it's voter fraud. It's happening. It's clear. This is not just, ooh, the Republicans don't want to lose. It's literally right here. And it didn't only happen in Michigan. What's the other pivotal state right now? Yep, you guessed it. Wisconsin had the exact same thing happen at the exact same time. So you're telling me both these states just so happened to have an influx in votes in a matter of seconds to skyrocket.
I mean, the order is pretty clear. I've been a lawyer for 30 years. What can you tell us what's unclear about it? You're a private lawyer and acting in the government capacity.
I'm a private lawyer who represents the city.
Great.
The city is evaluating it. And I can't tell you anything more than
They're
that.
evaluating a judge's order?
What the order means. And when they're ready to talk to you about it, they will. But I can assure you that they're not violating it under any...
The order is currently in effect.
They're not violating
You
the order
guys
under
had
any
8
interpretation.
attorneys. I think it was 8 attorneys entering their appearance on this. I don't understand why 8 attorneys need to evaluate this order. I did it all by myself. Okay. It says that no later than 10:30 today, you're to follow the election code, and my people, my clients, representatives, are to be within 6 feet of the process.
We have read the order, and we are complying with the order, and we will discuss it with you in a bit. Okay?
The compliance is 6 feet.
Before the break, you talked about Michigan, but there are lots of other challenges by the Trump camp, including calls for pauses in vote counting in Georgia and Pennsylvania, where the president's team is demanding a review of every vote, saying poll watchers were kept up to 50 feet away for 20 hours, arguing more than 100,000 ballots could be fraudulent or riddled with mistakes.
Not a single Republican has been able to look at any one of these mail ballots. They could be from Mars, as far as we're concerned, or they could be from the Democratic National Committee. Joe Biden could have voted 50 times, as far as we know, or 5,000 times.
In a separate case in PA, the Trump camp wants any of the 3 million mail-in ballots arriving after Election Day tossed out. The state is arguing they should be counted if they arrive by this Friday. And the president's team is calling for a recount in Wisconsin, where Biden leads by less than 21,000 votes, citing irregularities in several counties. The governor called those allegations beyond irresponsible, but says a recount could happen. The campaign also disputing absentee votes in Nevada, and more suits could still be filed, Tucker.
Rick Leventhal will be on that story, of course. Here's what President Trump said earlier about what is unfolding right now.
This is a very big moment. This is a major fraud in our nation. We want the law to be used in a proper manner. So we'll be going to the U.S. Supreme Court. It's a very sad moment. To me, this is a very sad moment. And we will win this, and as far as I'm concerned, we already have won it.
So what specifically is the contents of these lawsuits? What are we watching as we see them ascend, as the president suggested, to the Supreme Court? Jenna Ellis is a senior legal advisor for the Trump campaign, attorney to the president. She joins us tonight. Jenna, thanks so much for coming on. So what's the substance of these suits?
Yeah, so let's be clear about what this is really regarding. Joe Biden said in his press conference today that he wants all votes to count. That sounds great. The Democrats want all votes to count. Who doesn't want that? But notice the sleight of hand, the key word that they're leaving out in their narrative: legal, legitimate. We want all legal, legitimate votes to count. So by the Democrats spinning this narrative and saying that they want all votes to count, that includes duplicate votes, illegal votes, it includes spoiled votes, it includes all votes that come in after the deadline, it includes all manner of unconstitutional ballot counting. And so when the Democrats are saying that, that's exactly what they want, is that they want all manner of fraud to count. That's why our Team Trump lawsuits are so incredibly important to preserving and protecting the rule of law and making sure that all legal, legitimate votes count. And that's what President Trump has said from the very beginning and what he re-emphasized last night.
So what's interesting is last night you're watching the coverage and there were a bunch of Democratic shills posing as news anchors, and they kept repeating the same line, which is the president's trying to stop the count. At that exact moment that they were saying that, a bunch of states shut down their count. On what grounds did they do that? Well, I mean, it's a very simple question, but I've never really gotten an answer to it. How would the state of Florida, for example, be able to continue its count until we knew the result? But other states, pivotal states, for the Trump campaign, just kind of said, we're not counting anymore tonight. How was that allowed?
Right. And, you know, these are questions that we all deserve answers to. And that's why when the mainstream media is reporting certain things selectively, and also when they're reporting inaccurately and falsely that the Trump campaign is wanting the ballot counting to be stopped, no, we want meaningful access to be able to look and observe as the law allows and in fact requires, that we can look and make sure that there isn't fraud that's going on. But why you have states that are pausing their counts and then starting up their counts again hours later, when suddenly you have, like in the state of Michigan, you have 138,000 votes that magically appear that are all 100% Biden votes. Can you imagine the Democrats' outrage if all 100% of these were Trump ballots? And so this isn't a matter of partisan politics. This is a matter of preserving and protecting the U.S. Constitution, the rule of law, and making sure that we have a free and fair election in this country. Because when you have voter intimidation, when you have all of these different tactics, when you have delay methods that have not gone through the state legislatures, you just have unilateral action by Democrats.
I get it. Let me just ask you, though, there's so many things going on now that you get overwhelmed. My brain gets overwhelmed by it anyway. But just very quickly, this specific case that you're referring to, where 100% of the votes, many votes, were cast for Joe Biden. That doesn't seem plausible. Will those votes count?
Well, and that's what a lawsuit needs to determine. And we need to make sure that we have access to see those ballots, make sure that they are legitimate. And if not, then a judge should look at that and fairly and accurately apply the rule of law, like an umpire would do. An umpire shouldn't say, well, I don't want to call a ball or strike because that's a political question. No, that is the exact role of the judicial branch, to make sure to step in and say, here is the call, and it's according to the law and the Constitution. That's why we're fighting, because free and fair elections matter. This country matters, that we, the people, get to determine through our legitimate legal votes who is elected. President Trump will keep fighting for that.
100% of the ballots, 100% of anything ought to make you nervous because it's probably a crock. And that does not seem believable to me. Jen Ellis,
Very suspicious. Thank you, Tucker.
You think? 100%? Yes, 100%. Yeah, okay. Right. So in a lot of ways, unfortunately, what happened last night could not have been worse for this country, for our children, for our grandchildren, for our future. The outcome of our presidential election was seized from the hands of voters, where, of course, it rightly belongs, and now resides in the control of lawyers and courts and highly partisan, clearly corrupt big city bureaucrats. So no matter what happens next, that is a tragedy. Many Americans will never again accept the results of a presidential election. That story is still unfolding tonight, obviously, and we're going to follow it as honestly as we can wherever it leads. We'll begin with that in just a minute. But first, we want to acknowledge the good news. And believe it or not, there is some good news, regardless of everything else that has happened. And here it is. America remains. It's still here. That's the first and most important thing. And it's not a foregone conclusion. We almost lost it. Democrats told us they wanted to beat Donald Trump. They spent more money than anyone ever has in any election in history to do that. But there was a lot more going on. Democrats didn't harness the full power of big tech and the billionaire class simply to make Joe Biden president. No. What they really wanted was total control over everything. No more democracy, no more dissent, permanent obedience from the rest of us. And they came shockingly close to getting that. If Democrats had won the White House and the Senate last night, the country as we know it would have ended. Not because Democrats have bad ideas, though they do, but because Democrats plan to impose an entirely new system on our country. Not an agenda, a system. With nothing to check their power, the left fully intended to eliminate the traditional American balances within our government, along with the Constitution and the Bill of Rights that constrain their power. We're not overstating this. Joe Biden's party planned to turn our highest court into a partisan political weapon. They admitted that. They wrote magazine articles about how they planned to do it. Then they planned to pack the Congress of the United States, the legislative branch, by adding new states to our union, purely for the Senate seats. We're not speculating there either. They admitted that too. Then they planned to pack the electorate itself, the ultimate corruption in a democracy. 20 million foreign nationals added to our voter rolls overnight. That was their agenda. How would any of that improve the United States of America? Well, they never claimed that it would. Making this country better was never the point. The point was to create a permanent Democratic majority, a one-party state with complete control over the population. Never in our history has any mainstream political party proposed an agenda more radical than this. They didn't talk about it much. There's a reason for that, of course. They didn't want to scare you. But it was entirely real. And last night, it came very close to happening. We should all be deeply grateful that it didn't. We're telling you this because we want to be clear about the stakes involved. This isn't a matter of opinions and a difference between those opinions. This isn't about policy. It's about the system that all of us live under, that governs this country. That's what's at stake. So keep that in mind as we move forward.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much. Please sit. Thank you. This is without question the latest news conference I've ever had. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it very much. And I want to thank the American people for their tremendous support. Millions and millions of people voted for us tonight. And a very sad group of people is trying to disenfranchise that group of people. And we won't stand for it. We will not stand for it. I want to thank the First Lady, my entire family, and Vice President Pence, Mrs. Pence, for being with us all through this. And we were getting ready for a big celebration. We were winning everything, and all of a sudden it was just called off. The results tonight have been phenomenal. And we are getting ready. I mean, literally, we were just all set to get outside and just celebrate something that was so beautiful, so good, such a vote, such a success. The citizens of this country have come out in record numbers. This is a record. There's never been anything like it to support our incredible movement. We won states that we weren't expected to win. Florida, we didn't win it. We won it by a lot. And we won the great state of Ohio. We won Texas. We won Texas. We won Texas by 700,000 votes, and they don't even include it in the tabulations. It's also clear that we have won Georgia. We're up by 2.5% or 117,000 votes with only 7% left. They're never going to catch us. They can't catch us. Likewise, we've clearly won North Carolina, where we're up 1.4% or 77,000 votes with only approximately 5% left. They can't catch us. We also, if you look and you see, Arizona, we have a lot of life in that. And somebody declared that it was a victory for, and maybe it will be. I mean, that's possible. But certainly there were a lot of votes out there that we could get because we're now just coming into what they call Trump territory. I don't know what you call it, but these were friendly Trump voters. And that could be overturned. The gentleman that called it, I watched tonight, he said, well, we think it's fairly unlikely that he could catch. Well, fairly unlikely. And we don't even need it. We don't need that. That was just a state that if we would have gotten it, it would have been nice, Arizona. But there's a possibility, maybe even a good possibility. In fact, since I saw that originally, it's been changed and the numbers have substantially come down just in a small amount of votes. So we want that obviously to stay in play. But most importantly, we're winning Pennsylvania by a tremendous amount of votes. We're up 600. Think of this. Think of this. Think of this. We're up 690,000 votes in Pennsylvania. 690,000. These aren't even close. It's not like, oh, it's close. With 64% of the vote in, it's going to be almost impossible to catch. And we're coming into good Pennsylvania areas where they happen to like your president. I mean, it's like very good. So we'll probably expand that. We're winning Michigan by, I'll tell you, I looked at the numbers. I said, whoa. I said, wow, that's a lot. By almost 300,000 votes. And 65% of the vote is in. And we're winning Wisconsin, so we're winning. We don't need all of them. We need, because when you add Texas in, which wasn't added, I spoke with the really wonderful governor of Texas just a little while ago, and Greg Abbott, he said, congratulations. He called me to congratulate me on winning Texas. I mean, we won Texas. I don't think they finished quite the tabulation, but there's no way. And it was almost complete, but he congratulated me. Then he said, by the way, what's going on? I've never seen anything like this. Can I tell you what? Nobody has. So we won by 107,000 votes with 81% of the vote. That's Michigan. So when you take those three states in particular, and you take all of the others, I mean, we have so many, we had such a big night. You just take a look at all of these states that we've won tonight, and then you take a look at the kind of margins that we've won them by. And all of a sudden, it's not like we're up 12 votes and we have 60% left. We won states, and all of a sudden, I said, what happened to the election? It's off. And we have all these announcers saying, what happened? And then they said, oh, because you know what happened? They knew they couldn't win, so they said, let's go to court. And did I predict this, Newt? Did I say this? I've been saying this from the day I heard they were going to send out tens of millions of ballots. I said exactly, because either they were going to win, or if they didn't win, they'll take us to court. So Florida was a tremendous victory, 377,000. Texas, as we said. Ohio, think of this. Ohio, a tremendous state, a big state. I love Ohio. We won by 8.1%, 461,000. Think of it. Almost 500,000 votes. North Carolina, big victory with North Carolina. And so we won there. We lead by 76,000 votes with almost nothing left. And all of a sudden, everything just stopped. This is a fraud on the American public. This is an embarrassment to our country. We were getting ready to win this election. Frankly, we did win this election. We did win this election. So our goal now is to ensure the integrity for the good of this nation. This is a very big moment. This is a major fraud in our nation. We want the law to be used in a proper manner. So we'll be going to the U.S. Supreme Court. We want all voting to stop. We don't want them to find any ballots at 4 o'clock in the morning and add them to the list, okay? It's a very sad moment. To me, this is a very sad moment, and we will win this, and as far as I'm concerned, we already have won it. So I just want to thank you, and I want to thank all of our support. I want to thank all of the people that worked with us, and Mr. Vice President, say a few words, please. Please.
Thank you, Mr. President. I want to join you in thanking more than 60 million Americans who have already cast their vote for 4 more years for President Donald Trump in the White House. And while the votes continue to be counted, we're going to remain vigilant, as the President said. The right to vote has been at the center of our democracy since the founding of this nation, and we're going to protect the integrity of the vote. But I really believe with all of my heart, with the extraordinary margins, Mr. President, that you've inspired in the states that you just described, and the way that you launched this movement across the country to make America great again, I truly do believe, as you do, that we are on the road to victory and we will make America great again. Thank you, Mr. President.
Looks like one of those lock boxes. I wish I could tell. Where'd this little guy come from so late at night? I think all the polling places were closed. And yet we have a box.
They're not going to get Texas. In fact, we got more news coming out of Texas. We're hoping James O'Keefe is going to join us here shortly. I mean, they caught Texas engaged in such election theft. And guess who's running it? The Republicans. Oh, who warned you that was going to happen? Who screamed at the Republican GOP committee that they were going to steal it from Trump? Oh, that was me. That's right. They kicked me out. So they're going to try to steal it in Texas. I don't think they're going to get away with it. They are stealing it in Nevada. They will get away with it. Minnesota's a toss-up. They're trying to steal it. They got caught, but now the attention's off. Nothing happened. They may try to steal it again. The poll numbers are huge for Biden in Wisconsin, but I don't think it's going to work in Wisconsin. They're going to try to steal Michigan. They're going to try to steal Pennsylvania. Those are the two big states right there. They're going to try to steal Florida as well. But Michigan and Pennsylvania is their target. And that's why they have the delayed election results in both of those states so that Trump can never declare victory, and then they can censor him, and then they can steal it, and then he won't be able to say anything because he'll be censored. You see how that works? So that's their big plan. They admitted in the New York Times. They admitted today during their big tech testify hearing under oath, and they all said, yep, we're going to censor the president. They specifically laid it out. If the president says he's won an election before all the votes are tallied, will you censor him? They say yes. They say if any news publication says that Trump has won the election before all the votes are counted, even on election night, will you censor him? They said yes. They said yes. And then they have the story in Slate magazine with Brett Kavanaugh addressing this, and Brett Kavanaugh simply says, states definitely announced results on election night, which is like the sun rises and sets, water is wet, fire is hot. States announce results on election night. Of course they do. Like, what? But Slate says, no, they don't. No, they don't definitely announce results on election night. So this is their plan, folks. Pretend like Trump didn't win. Say there's by the way, 50 million mail-in ballots right now. 50 million mail-in ballots right now. 50 million. 50 million. How do you think that's going to go? So 50 million mail-in ballots. The Democrats say, nope, you don't get to know the night of an election. So you don't get to know till they declare Biden won, basically. Big Tech says they're going to censor anybody who declares a winner election night. There's their plan. And then there's going to be all these riots going on. Folks, they already know. It doesn't even have to be political. A black guy will die in D.C. from a cop. A black guy will die in Philadelphia from a cop. It doesn't matter. It happens all the time. It doesn't matter what happens. They'll build it up in the media. They'll start riots. They'll bring in the election theft. They'll censor President Trump and everyone else. And that's their plan. That's what's coming.